What a beautiful car. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. I just wish I could afford to drive it, but these gas prices are so damn high. But guess what? Let's talk about when gas prices are going to drop like a rock. Let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. So before we understand when these gas prices are going to drop, we first have to understand what's causing these high prices in the first place. Yes, I know everybody believes it's actually Russia's invasion of Ukraine. As a matter of fact, Russia is one of the world's largest oil suppliers as well as refined products. But now in recent times, Canada has finally stopped importing Russian oil. Lots of other countries have started to turn down the taps. And even some of the big players like BP, Exxon, and Shell have decided to pull out full stop just to disassociate themselves with the Russian branding. So when all of this is actually going on, what do you think that causes for gas prices? Well, since Russia actually supplies the majority of the world with oil as it stands, this generally means that a lot of these countries are going to have to start picking up scraps elsewhere, start negotiating deals with smaller markets, and essentially grabbing what they can. And generally having a supplier like Russia means that you've got a competitive market and keeps prices stable. Now, of course, that stability has gone out the window because buyers are having to dip into other markets that maybe aren't as competitive. It means that prices start to rise. And that's going to be something going on for the foreseeable future. So unfortunately, people who have previously enjoyed driving beautiful cars like this that make over 500 horsepower, or large oversized SUVs like this that they're normally accustomed to driving, or pickup trucks like this that are some of the most popular vehicles in North America, or high performance sports cars like a Porsche 911 that start to consume gas at an alarming rate once you start getting on the throttle and start enjoying it as it was meant to be enjoyed. These types of drivers driving these types of vehicles are going to be initially impacted by far the most. Of course, people get into the EV markets or even the hybrid markets or possibly even the smaller 3-cylinder engines will certainly feel less sting. But literally overnight, people have gone from paying $100 a fill up on a tank of gas to get them to work and it lasting about a week to all of a sudden having to pay over $200 a week for gas. What do you think that does to your monthly budget? Poof! Blown out of the sky. Of course, another reason why gas prices are so damn high right now is because of the general response of people getting back to work, back to regular life. Obviously, after the last 2 years plus, people were in lockdown. They weren't liking it, they weren't loving it, and quite frankly, now people are deciding it's time to get on that plane, fly to Mexico, take that Caribbean cruise, whatever it be. People are moving again, they're holidaying. Of course, planes are firing up more engines than they ever did. And even a lot of the organizations that run a lot of your infrastructure in your city or town, for example, running the electrical system, the gas, the general maintenance, those vehicles are all on the road, again, full bore. What do you think that does? Heavy oil and fuel consumption. So clearly the demand is higher than it's actually ever been. There's actually almost an overshoot effect where people are arguably even getting out there even more than they did pre-2020. Let me share a little perspective on this whole thing. It's literally hit me very, very in the heart in the pocketbook, as it likely hit each and every one of you. If you're driving a vehicle, a motorcycle, a car, a truck, SUV, guaranteed you've been negatively impacted by some of these high rising prices for fuel. The perspective I bring is before this whole crisis 2 years ago began, our gas prices locally here were anywhere from 80 cents, $1, maybe $1.10, $1.20 per liter in Canadian funds. But do you realize how much that's actually changed? The last time I stepped up to the fuel pump and had to put some gas in my vehicle, I had the top of one of our cars that uses premium gas. Do you know how much premium gas is actually costing us today as Canadians? It's currently at about $2.10 per liter for premium fuel. It's even higher if you go to BC on the west coast of Canada, where those folks are paying over $2.25, $2.30, $2.40 per liter. Not per gallon, folks, per liter. We are getting gouged. So these ridiculous fuel prices are going to start changing the profile of the actual consumer. And instead of buying a beautiful car like this, the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, or a pickup truck like this, or the guzzling Ford Exploder, or this thundering hulk of a vehicle right here, the Cadillac Escapade, or maybe even any one of these pickup trucks could be higher in availability in coming months and years, even this great, wonderful Toyota Tundra, just because the high levels of fuel consumption. Now Toyota is offering the twin-turbo V6 to support and improve fuel economy to some degree. But instead of a lot of buyers buying these types of vehicles, they may opt out for other vehicles like smaller 4-cylinder Volkswagens, 4-cylinder Toyotas, smaller cars like this little Fiat right here, or even junk boxes like this. I've even recently seen 230-pound burly lumberjack guys driving in a smart car. Personally, I think that's cool. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that. They'd be driving in a 3/4-ton diesel pickup truck. But clearly times are changing, and it's challenging the way people are thinking about the mode of transportation. Another key reason why prices are extremely high are the general forces against the industry. Of course, OPEC is slow to get revved back up. Shale reserves in the US are slow because of fracking and the processes involved. There's a general reluctance as an industry as a whole to invest a ton of money, as the forces are strongly against the oil and gas sector. Even though drilling and extraction are a thing and it's continuing on, all those involved are proceeding with caution and not going full guns a-blazing. Unfortunately as well, we have those douchebags in federal offices putting the squeeze and the stranglehold on the industry as a whole. Why do you think midstream businesses like pipelines, for example, are getting shut down and are almost virtually impossible to construct new ones? That essentially strangleholds the opportunity to transport oil effectively from corner to corner of the globe. It's these very governments that are directly trying to curb the strength and the power in oil and gas as they continually to push the agenda of pure EV upon all of us consumers. Another major hurdle is that some of the local legislators, as well as some of your federal officials, are now slamming on those carbon taxes. I know here in Canada, that's a big conversation. They just keep slapping chunks of carbon tax on with the full intent of trying to squeeze people out of driving heavier, less fuel-efficient vehicles and push people more into the electric vehicle marketplace. They think that that's actually going to solve all the world's pollution issues, but that's another conversation. But when we're starting to see 30, 40, 50, 60 cents directly contributed based on carbon tax alone, this is just getting outlandish. So what does this all mean, and when do we actually see these gas prices start to drop? Well, long and short of it is the continued fluctuation as we've seen over years is going to happen. That's always a normal phenomenon. You get the highs, the lows, local weekends, holidays, some excess on the market, some shortages because of maybe a refinery is down due to a fire. Those natural ebbs and flows will always continue to exist, and this is going to continue on for some time. But as an overall K factor in terms of the bottom line and the fact that prices are very, very high right now, does this seem like something that's going to drop off the map anytime soon? And in general, I would say as the industry continues to develop further and further into the EV market, as they continue to develop hydrogen cell opportunities, as Toyota is doing right now, I would say what's going on in the gas market is very much what's going on in the automotive industry. Why sell more for a smaller margin when you're currently selling less for a larger margin? You're still coming out ahead and having to move less product through the system. All the market forces are pushing everything to the green side of the industry, and the challenges on bringing all of the oil and gas full stop like they've been and we've enjoyed for the last 100 years is going to continue to struggle. Well, yes, it will never go away. We know that large commercial vehicles will always need oil and gas. So do planes, so do boats. And many people continue to drive gas guzzlers like this right here. But the reality is every car manufacturer is now getting on board with the idea. It's not an accident that Mercedes now has dumped the C63S V8 that's 4 liters that makes 500 horsepower. They're dumping that in favor of a 2-liter 4-cylinder high-strung turbo engine with a little extra hybrid motivation. It's also not by accident that Ferrari's gone down to a twin-turbo V6 instead of the V8 engines that they've always enjoyed in their mid-engine supercars. Every manufacturer is going from a V6 down to a 4-cylinder turbo, a V8 down to a V6. And in many cases, they're going all in with pure electric. So ultimately, if I can say gas prices at this point, I don't see dropping anytime particularly soon. And I would say this is continuing to be the new norm. Now with all of that said, right there, you're gonna love that video. That's actually when car prices will start to drop like a rock as well. Hope to see you real soon. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.